Welcome to another Pump Theatre Virtual Creative Talk. My guest today graduated with a Bachelor of Performing and Screen Arts from Unitec in 2019. He cites Charlie Chaplin and John Cleese as his acting idols, and when he's not playing Dungeons and Dragons or touching wood for luck, he can be found playing bass for the country folk blues band Tiger by the Tail. Hello to you, Max Easey.
Hi, Max.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. And yourself?
Great. Thank you for agreeing to do this talk with us today.
Oh, no worries.
So as a new person in the performing arts, how did you get started?
I got started in technically year 6. I really liked drama and stuff, and so my mum helped me find an after-school program that happened once every week, and then I did that until about year 10, when they actually started doing drama at my high school consistently. So I did that for 4 or 5 years, and then I did the drama at high school from year 9 you did it in a term, and then year 10 you actually did it for the whole year. So from year 10 to year 13 I did drama, and then I went off to Unitec.
So what attracted you to Unitec?
Definitely the open day. I went to a lot of other schools. Auckland, I found, was a lot more theory based, a lot more academia, I think. Not that Unitec doesn't have it, but I felt like Unitec showed that they had a lot more practical application of it.
Mm-hmm.
And when I went to the open day, they had masks.
Right.
Which I actually, when my mask tutor was kind of getting rid of masks, and he was going back to, I think it was Brazil for a year or something to do his doctorates, he started selling some of the masks. So some of the masks I saw on the open day that actually convinced me to go to Unitec. I actually have a trunk in my room for mask work. And then I saw the third years always do an end of year production.
Yeah.
And I saw that one, and it was spectacular. It was called 2063 or 2064 or something. It was about a year. But then when I went to Unitec and remembered about the thing, I thought maybe it's just named after one of the classrooms, because all the classrooms were called 2060, 2064, 2057, 1013. I thought, the year, or was it just a classroom number that they just used as the title? But yeah, it was the open day that definitely made me want to go to Unitec.
Yeah. So you mentioned masks. Tell us a bit about what the masks are used for.
Oh, so they kind of you start with something like a neutral mask, which is just a mask that is a basic human face, but it's like devoid of any defining characteristic. Like, it's got a slight nose, slight cheekbones, it's got the chin, it's got the eyes, but the neutral mask it's neutral, where it doesn't have any, every time it's on stage, it doesn't have on stage, it's kind of just used in practice. I think it's as if that's its first experience. So there's no history to it, it's got no characteristics, and it's trying to become as neutral as possible. And then we go through the different types of masks and start putting on more and more slight characteristics. So the neutral mask is just kind of to get us into as neutral as we can physically be, to be kind of like an empty canvas. And then we go on to something called a larval mask, which are white masks that have slightly more defined characteristics. So like the nose, there might be like a little bit of a nose, or the fact that it's got a rounder face or a very long, tall face.
Right.
You kind of play with that, and they're a lot more slight, and then you move into the full face. I don't want to say decorative, but like full characteristic masks.
Right.
And then you do the half masks, which is kind of just like eyes and nose, and then you can talk as well. So it's kind of getting through the stages of characters, and each mask has its own kind of like movement and not how to portray it, but kind of like, yeah, the characteristics of the face that you look at kind of influence how you
I feel
portray
like
it.
the Commedia dell'arte masks.
Yeah, we never actually got to. Oh, we did a little bit. We got to use those a little bit, especially we had actually like what I believe, who is believed considered, or at least in my opinion, is like the mask maker of the world, Alfredo Iriarte. He actually came over from South America
Wow.
to teach us how to make masks. And so I've got my very first mask. It's an old man with a big bushy mustache. And when he came over, he also brought with him a lot of other masks, some just to show. Some were made out of leather and looked like actual human faces, which was completely terrifying. It was like some Hannibal Lecter stuff, but they were very interesting. And then he brought other ones, mostly made out of leather, and he had some Commedia dell'arte, and I bought Il Capitano.
Right.
So, but I haven't gotten any training in that, obviously, because just that's like such a different type of mask. Like that's its own
South American style of acting that they use, because you said he came from Brazil. Because when I think of mask, I think of like Japan or Italy. So.
Oh yes. I'm not sure. I haven't seen much. I think they do have obviously their own type of style, but I haven't seen much, or even really. I should probably research a bit more. But I don't think. I'm not entirely sure.
Right.
But my friend also, he went to Japan and he went to a mask store and he bought me back a mask, not like a no theatre mask, because that's a whole thing in itself. I don't think you'd be able to buy a no theatre mask without going through the process of learning how to do no theatre, like our previous head of drama, who was also in Tiger by the Tail, John Davis, studied no theatre in Japan, and he made his own masks and everything. And he did a presentation for us in first year. He put on one of the masks he made, and he dressed up in the traditional clothing, and he did a performance. It was completely different, because it was so, I don't want to say still, but very like the whole body is like tense and everything is really purposeful. There's no like accidents.
Yeah.
It's so defined and well practiced. It was really interesting, and I considered going to Japan to study it. But I have very poor balance, so I think that wouldn't be great. And I shake a lot. So I don't think that would, if I need to be very still for no theatre, I don't think that'd be entirely great. But yeah, that's all a lot of mask stuff learnt at Unitec, and so I'm hoping.
So do you have a particular genre style of acting that you prefer?
I do really enjoy masks. That's fun. Obviously, it's realistic to a point, depending on the masks as well. Realistic to a point. I do always enjoy Shakespeare. That's always fun. The Shakespeare production that we put on last year, 12th Night, that's probably my favorite production I've been in.
Right.
To actually be in.
Yeah. What role did you play?
I played Malvolio. So I actually got the kind of the honor to be able to wear one of the pop-up globe costumes.
Wow.
In the production, because it's set in the 40s, our one. So
Yeah.
I was a butler, because he's the head steward of the house. So I'm wearing like tails and a coat and very kind of bland stuff. And then he gets the note from Olivia.
Mm-hmm.
And then he goes crazy, he goes a little bit love crazy, and the yellow stockings, and sometimes that's kind of like all they do, because especially if you're already wearing the costume, kind of can't really go much crazier.
Yeah.
But Rita Stone, our director, went, this is the moment where you're wearing yellow stockings. Let's see if you can go even crazier. And we were lucky enough to actually get permission, because she works with the pop-up globe. she was able to get us permission to use some of the clothes, to try on some of the clothes from recent ones. But so I had the shirt, I had the breeches, the big puffy breeches. I had a cape that covered up half my arm. I had the big neck ruff, and that was kind of like my dream as an actor, or just someone who loves history, was to be able to wear one of those costumes. And I got to do that in Twelfth Night, which was technically my last performance at Unitec.
Yeah. But
yes, that was nice. That was a good time.
You've been performing since then, though, haven't you?
Yes. Sorry?
What have you been doing since then?
For secondment, which is a 6-week period that we get in the middle of the year, we basically, they say, go off and do something. And we go off and do something. Some people went to China to do opera there.
Yeah.
Some people stayed here. Some people went to America to do the screen, it's kind of like a screen course, screen acting course.
Yeah.
And I got my first job with Tim Bray Theatre Company as Timmy the dog. So not only was I actually able to get industry experience, I was able to actually go out and do something, but I also got paid for it.
Wow.
That was my first ever like acting job, and it was still while I was in high school. So it was kind of like, it was a bonus, I got my study kind of section, and I got my secondment in. I got to get a lot of experience in that section, and then doing my first performance outside of high school, or doing amateur dramatics, and then obviously being able to support myself more, because I quit my job to be able to focus on the third year of uni.
Right.
That's the big one. Personally, I think it was. Well, then after that, we did a film project at Unitec, and then I did Little Yellow Digger, and then I was part of the kind of documentary photography team for Unitec's Tapakai, which is kind of like a Tereo English mixture version of the Bakai.
Right.
So that was good. So I got to photograph all of that. So I've got like an entire like terabyte of photographs and footage that I sent off, and they put it together with a bunch of other things, and they're turning it into like an actual footage thing. And then I did the Christmas Carol with you, Megs.
With me? Well, there's a surprise. Yes, I remember that.
Yes, that was good. That was so much fun. It was a nice little, just being able to, because I also enjoy voice acting. I mean, as you said, I do Dungeons and Dragons, which is kind of part acting, but you can only do so much sitting at a table behind a screen with your body and stuff, so it all comes through your voice. And I do always enjoy listening to video game and animated TV series voice actors. So it was kind of like a nice little voice acting thing, because we were sitting there with the books reading. So I also didn't have to memorize any of my lines. Which seems to be a running theme through a lot of my productions with Tim Bray. I never have any lines.
Yes, I fondly remember your Tiny Tim.
Yes. The one other character I got from Scrooge. But that was a lot of fun. And then Christmas rolled around, and I kind of took a break and just did my own thing. And then I auditioned for Greedy Cat, and we started rehearsals for that. And then that obviously got delayed for COVID. Yeah. But we're hoping to get that back up potentially in the future. Fingers crossed.
So would you say your experience is typical of somebody who graduates out of performing arts, or do people sort of have to look round for jobs and things?
I've found with a lot of people that I know from Unitec, they've gone out and done a lot of performing arts stuff. Usually they make it themselves. Sometimes they're in something like Short and Sweet,
Yeah.
or the Fringe festivals, or they go into Tim Bray. A few Unitec grads have gone into Tim Bray, like Annie and Holly, and Dylan Underwood. All were in the Christmas Tim Bray show.
Santa Claus.
But then obviously there's some people who leave and they do a few things and then they kind of go into, I wouldn't say non-performing arts. I think they move away from being in the forefront.
Right.
They might go, I did a 3-year acting degree, but during that acting degree, I found out that I preferred writing or directing or producing. Quite a few actors go into producing because we have to produce a lot of not a lot, but we kind of get into when we have to do a film project, a small little film project, 5-minute film. Someone's always, as a group, you like to be in charge of costume and props and stuff, but it's always nice to have someone who's kind of focused on it. Especially when we did our grad film, we had a group of producers who were in charge of basically organizing everything. So I really, really thank them, but also don't envy them at all. I know what it's like to wrangle people, maybe not actors, but I know what it's like to wrangle people in general, especially who you're friendly with, and it's kind of hard to, because you don't want to come across as that person to like be pushy, but you're also still friends with them. So, got a lot of hopeful producers I know to help me.
So you say you like writing?
Yes.
So what kind of writing do you do? Is it general or?
I would say general. Yeah, we did a lot of the projects we did at Unitec, we had to write our own things.
Yeah.
And I usually like to be on that writing side. I helped. I say I don't like wrangling people, but I wasn't head writer, but I tried to organize as best I could the writing team for our grad film. So I would take notes. If something had changed or there was an update, I would send it out to people on the group chat, and I would communicate with producers and stuff as much as I could, because I was also on health and safety. So a lot of the other time, another writer would go off and talk to the producers while I was doing health and safety things.
So sort of leaning towards comedy or more serious drama, or what?
I do like comedy. I find out that when I write comedy, I'm not very good at writing comedy.
Right.
It's definitely something I work on a lot. Like 12th Night, I loved so much, but that was a lot of work. Timmy and Little Yellow Digger was a lot of work. I guess slightly more dramatic. I'm having a lot of help because I've written a few things outside of Unitec. I started writing a play based on the short story The Call of Cthulhu by H.P. Lovecraft.
Right.
I really like his writing.
Right.
So I started that last year and I was able to finish that in lockdown. So I sent that to my very good friend Christian George, who was also in the also a Unitec grad, also in the Christmas Carol.
Christian.
He's staying nice and safe in the Waikato in Te Awamutu. So I sent him that script, and I'm more of the academic, and he's a lot more of the creative, and he's brilliant at character work. So sometimes like I'd go to him and he'd sit with me for hours in my room, and he does that with a lot of our friends as well. So he's really good at character work. So I sent that to him. Hopefully he likes it. If there's anything that doesn't seem right, he'll let me know and he'll give me good ideas. And then I also wrote, because I also like writing short stories, not in play format or script format, but I wrote one and I thought I could try turn it into a script. So I talked to my friend Duncan, Duncan Dykes, who is also a Unitec grad, but he did the film and television, writing and directing.
Yeah.
And he helped. He's been helping me turn my little short story into a script. And so far, we've got 98 pages.
Wow.
Of a movie script, and we think we'll probably finish next week at 120. But he's like, I wouldn't know where to start. I wouldn't be anywhere in the script without him. He is really insightful, and he knows exactly what he's doing. So basically, he's formatting everything and helping me make things a bit more punchier for screen. And I'm sitting there like giving him my 2 cents and things, but you know, it's all. I've been able to keep myself busy, which I didn't think I was going to be able to do in quarantine. I bought a game to play on my PlayStation, and I only touched it once in the past 4 weeks.
Wow, that's good.
So I've been able to keep myself rather busy.
Yeah, so you've been actively creative during lockdown time, which is well done to you. I mean, lots of people run out of steam, and you know, it sort of drains them. But it sounds like you're having a good time. So you've told us what your favourite part was, because you played Malvolio. What's the favourite production you've ever seen?
I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Is what's it called? The Play That Goes Wrong.
Yeah. That
was consistently the funniest play and possibly the most well written I've seen. It was just so funny because, you know, everything that can go wrong goes wrong, and I quite enjoy those sorts of things.
Yeah.
And everything's divulging, and they kind of play on they do play on the actor's worst nightmare, which is, you know, forgetting a line, missing a cue, coming in too early, coming in too late, technical issues like the stage partially collapsing, or there's a fire on stage, and every joke works.
Yeah.
Sometimes that doesn't happen in production, and you know, you plant a little bit of a joke, and I am definitely in that camp, and it doesn't really play off well, but that was the one production where I think every single humorous joke got like an uproar of laughing, because they worked really well on it. And obviously, because it was an original work, they didn't take a play and thought, right, what can we do wrong with here?
Yeah.
I have no idea actually how they wrote it, so this is just how I think. But I think, you know, if you're wanting to do like, let's do a play that goes wrong, if you write the script, then you can choose points where stuff goes wrong, whereas if you're using something like a source material, you might not be able to, and then you've also got to get the rights.
Well, I have to admit, watching it myself, from my experience as a stage manager, it was very true to life in some cases. You know, I'm thinking, you've watched some of the things I've been working in. So yeah, no, it was great. It was
like getting the stage manager on stage.
Yes.
To help act.
Yeah, been there, done that. Yeah.
Tim likes doing that. Tim likes doing that to Katie.
Oh.
Remember Little Yellow Digger? She came on and she'd put signs up.
I think it's something that directors like to do, just to show that they're in charge. It's really the stage manager that's meant to be in charge when it's in the theatre. But yeah, been there, done that. So when you're not doing your theatre-y stuff and your acting stuff and your creative stuff, what else do you do?
Oh boy!
You mentioned Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes. Oh yeah, I play that. I've been able to play that more in the past month than I might have done in the past year, because it's hard to get everyone together, especially with work in uni. Yeah. But now that people don't have to spend time going anywhere, and you can kind of not so much choose when you work, but you know, if you've got uni stuff, you know, you can choose when you study unless you've got a specific class. But I feel like now that you don't have, you know, we're not having to come from 4 different places across Auckland. You just jump on Zoom or Discord or Roll20, and you got a game going for a few hours.
How long have you been doing that?
I have been doing that.
Dungeons and Dragons being popular when I was at university a long time ago. and then it sort of, whether I didn't move in the right circles. So how long have you been playing?
We had a board game when I was a kid.
Right.
It was a very basic version of it. I don't even know when we got it, but that we played that a lot, me and my sister and my dad. And then obviously as we grew up, and we kind of go away from board games, playing constantly. And then because in the same year where I started doing drama, I dropped music at my high school, and my mum thought, if you don't keep up doing music, then you're gonna stop doing music. You're just gonna, and that's happened with my saxophone. I haven't played it in a long time, so she thought if you join a band, you'll keep it up. So I joined the North Shore Youth Symphonic Wind Band. Not a short name. And that's like an amalgamation of nerds. And it was truly wonderful. And then every year we go down to Mata Mata to do a show there. The Brass, I honestly can't remember what it's called. Anyway, and one of my friends who kind of recognized that I was on the deep nerd spectrum, that he said, would you like to play Dungeons and Dragons? And that obviously clicked in my head. I was like, I used to play that as a kid, and obviously it's a different version. It's you got sheets and you got different dice and things. The board game was a very basic version.
Yeah.
Definitely for much younger kids who couldn't play Dungeons and Dragons. And so I started playing that in year 10, which math-wise, I'm not good at counting, so I think that was 2013. So
it's about 7 years.
Yeah, 7 years. Yeah, I've been playing that for a long time.
And
a very long time.
Do you find that role-playing in that way has helped you as an actor, or has being an actor helped you with your role-playing?
I think being an actor has helped me in my role-playing, because it's given me more confidence to be able to do voices. And, like Dungeons and Dragons is a lot more fun, but sometimes you get very serious moments. And not shying away from those, from interacting those serious moments, like, when someone dies.
Yeah.
You like to have a lot of fun, and you usually tend to like role play a lot more when you're having fun, and then when something gets a bit serious, you might tend to like draw back because it's a bit heavy. But being an actor has definitely helped me in the confidence, and definitely being able to do or trying to do accents, studying accents at Unitec. I've been able to sort of put that in there. So I've been doing a lot more West Country and Welsh,
right?
Which I studied West Country for a project, and then someone else did Welsh, so I have the notes for that. So I've been kind of trying those out in a few games. That and Southern American. I'm not going to do any of them because they're all horrendous.
No, but I'm just thinking that it's quite a safe space to try things out like that, to see whether you can flick the accent on. So yeah, cool. So you mentioned music. You said you played the saxophone, and I mentioned at the beginning that you play with Tiger by the Tail, play the bass. So what led you to the bass guitar?
I had some friends who grew up very musical, and they were in rock bands and stuff. And in year 7, I wanted to like try that out. I wanted to learn another instrument because I like saxophone, but I wanted to try another instrument as well, a lot more rocky. And my mum said, like, what one do you want to do? Because honestly, she didn't. Because it was always like, she tried to get me to play the keyboard, tried to get me to play the recorder, and I didn't like any of those. So I guess she figured if she says you have to play an instrument, but it's when you get to choose, then I'm more likely going to want to play it, which I did, because I've still got my bass and my saxophone today. And I just figured that in all the bands, there's always like 4 guitarists and 1 bassist, because everyone wants to be a guitarist, everyone wants to be a drummer, everyone wants to be a singer. And I just found that not many people were bassists. So I thought, I'll play bass, supply and demand.
So it's not the cool solo bass image that, you know, that's the image I have of the bass players. They're the cool dudes. They're just the ones that, you know, I'm the muso here. It wasn't that then.
No. No, I don't have that vibe in the slightest.
Oh.
But I also quite like, you know, I think it also came down to Queen, like Another One Bites the Dust.
Yeah.
That's bass. And the Beatles. Those were my two bands, my two big bands at the time. The Beatles. Paul McCartney was my favorite. He played bass.
Indeed.
So I kind of went, you know,
yeah,
the bass sounds cool. It looks cool. And if I play bass, then I'm more likely to be accepted into a band, because you kind of need a bassist.
Yeah.
So it was also kind of like a good way to kind of try and get in a band is to try to kind of fit in somewhere. Yeah. So yeah, that's why I joined. That's why I picked up the bass, and I've been playing consistently. I've been going in and out of bands for a very long time, just because, you know, people get lives, and if it's not the most pressing thing in their life, something's got to go, and sometimes it's the band, which is totally fine. And then Unitec went Tiger by the Tail, and that's been going strong. And we were trying to get into a studio to do an album,
right?
At the end of May, which was when I was going to finish 3D Cat.
Yeah.
But obviously everything happened, so that's been postponed. But I mean,
so you were getting
more time to practice the music, I guess.
Yeah. You were going to the recording studio.
Yeah.
So do you do your own music, or do you do covers, or?
Yeah, we usually do our own. Like I think we learnt a few. I think we learnt a Leonard Cohen. At least me and John Davis, when we were just kind of jamming by ourselves a little bit. I learnt one of those songs, but that's not part of like our main, what we call like our gig repertoire. Yeah. We got one song called Gone Blonde, which is like a Mannish Boy. You know, it's like a standard like that. Yeah. It's very along the same lines of melody and the bass. And
so you say you've got a gig list, so that implies you do gigs. So where do you gig? Where would you get to see Tiger by the Tail?
Where do we gig? We have done 2 or 3, I think maybe just two gigs at Backbeat.
Right.
In the city. We love Garnet Station on Garnet Road. Yeah. Garnet Station is where we like to go. That's kind of like that's where a lot of our gigs have been, and it's been a good time. We had another gig really down far south. It must have been like Papakura or something. I couldn't make it because I had a show or something, so I couldn't make it, which was a shame. And then we were supposed to be in I think it was the Tarangi Earth Festival or something.
Yeah.
And then that got rained on, so that got cancelled. Yeah. Basically, if it's sadly, if it's not in the city, and if it was both times during uni and bad weather, I was unable to kind of make them. But now that I'm out, and John Davis has left Unitec, we've both been able to kind of, I feel like now we're more able to make ourselves free. Oh, and there was also another thing to do with a documentary, I think. I can't remember. But I got E. coli.
Right. And that's
I couldn't make it. So I couldn't make it. That was so annoying because I was so looking forward to it. And he was like, all right, guys, Sunday at my house, we're doing this thing. And I'm like, yeah. And I was practicing and I was getting ready. I borrowed an amp and everything. Oh. And then it was like, no.
So do you have a following? Do you have tigerettes that follow you around?
Tigerettes?
Yeah.
I think there's a few people who come to our gigs quite a lot. Ali, who's our manager and also John's partner, she's helped us a lot. John or Ali's got an auntie who does like the art for us.
Right. Yeah.
I think she comes to a few. A lot of family, a lot of friends. We have a Unitec graduate called Tane Hippolyte, and he, even though he did acting, he's very tech savvy.
Right.
So at a lot of Garnet Station, he comes and he plugs in the mics and the amps, and he does the lighting and the sound. And a few times we're playing, and there's a little sound effect, and I'm kind of like a little bit a bit surprised because we haven't heard it yet. But I'm like, yeah, this is good. So he's I guess he's a follower, but like he follows us because we ask him. We ask him to follow us. We ask him to come around and help us with our tech stuff.
So when life goes back to normal, people should look out for gigs with Tiger by the Tail, possibly at Garnet Station, possibly at a place near you.
Possibly, and hopefully we'll have our, when we put down the tracks, we'll have albums we can put on Spotify or put on a CD. I don't exactly know how that works. I'm not tech savvy in the slightest. So.
Oh, well, no, if you're on Spotify, I'll be able to find you. So you'll have to know when that happens. Yeah. So, as we sort of wrap up now, do you have any advice for people who might be thinking of going to Unitec or doing drama as a tertiary thing, or, the creative people out there who are stuck at the moment because there's nowhere to go?
In terms of like right now, I'd put off like for back to the little play I wrote. I started that last year, and then stuff got in the way, and I put it off, and then I'm stuck in my house for minimum 4 weeks at the time. I thought, I've got time. I'm not going anywhere. Stuff I've been putting off, I'll work on. Pardon me. So I guess if you've got stuff you want to work on that you've been putting off, or even just considering or thinking about, definitely I get started on that. But I think the one that helped me the most was to just get dressed.
Right.
I felt like if I stayed, even on the weekend, if I stayed in my pajamas, I was unmotivated to do anything. Even if I was working, and I was in my pajamas, I just felt a little bit drained, a little bit tired. But the second I put on a shirt and trousers, I feel a lot more brighter. I feel ready to go.
Advice.
Taking care of lots of good food. There's always I have the temptation to just have a lot of rubbish food for lunch. But I try to have as much good stuff. Cut up some tomatoes and spring onions and mushrooms, and put it with something that's hopefully not too unhealthy. And obviously shower, brush your teeth. Do just kind of like do stuff as if you were starting your day any other day, and then if you've got nothing to do, work on stuff you've been putting off for the longest time.
I think that's sound advice for anybody, not just creatives, but yeah. Good to hear someone like you say those things. It's not mum nagging, so that's great. Well, thank you very much for your time this morning.
Thank you for having me, Max.
And for giving us an insight into the world of Max Easey. And hopefully we'll be seeing you on a stage near us very soon.
Oh, fingers crossed.
If not, playing the bass somewhere at a gig.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much.